All right, this is Mike Volpe again, and I'm here with Jackie Sample. Jackie, I wanted to have you back on. I interviewed you in May and a couple of times after that. However, in the last few weeks, there was an explosive lawsuit, civil RICO lawsuit, so filed civilly, but alleging that there's organized crime. And the lawsuit was filed against the Beermann Law Group, and um, your ex-husband is also has the Beermann Law Group. So I wanted to have you back on. So first of all, the lawsuit alleges that Beermann pays off judges for favorable rulings. Do you think that's happening in your case?
I absolutely do.
All right,
I
now
think it is.
but, but you don't have like a like a wire transfer or video of Beermann or one of their agents going to your judge. Your judge's name is James Orrell, right? You don't have that kind of evidence that there's bribery.
No, I don't. I just have a lot of threats from my soon-to-be ex
All right,
prior.
so what sort of behavior have you seen in court that makes you think that the judge is being bribed by Beermann?
Well, there's the conflict of interest. I originally consulted with Beerman, divulged a lot of strategy, personal information.
All right, and I'm getting up a recent motion that you have a new lawyer that they filed that's arguing this. So explain that first. You consulted with Beerman,
Yeah.
and what happened during the consultation?
So I divulged a lot of strategy information, business information,
Mhm,
to, move forward with the divorce.
mhm.
And I did not hire Beerman. However, my spouse ended up hiring Beerman, and they've been representing my spouse after I consulted with Beerman first.
Have you ever brought this up to the court that this represents a conflict?
Yes, of course, multiple
And
times.
and what does the judge say to that?
Not much. At one point, the judge did say file a motion. So I went on and filed several motions that were denied by the judge. But
All right,
then,
so the
uh,
judge doesn't seem to care that you went to Beerman, disclosed your legal strategy, and then your ex-husband hired Beerman knowing your legal strategy.
no, he doesn't care.
All right, now that's bad and very unethical, but that on its own is probably not, that's not on its own evidence of bribery. What other behaviors have you seen?
Well, this particular motion that was filed to disqualify Beerman, the judge proceeded with allowing Beerman to present this motion while I was being taken by ambulance to the hospital from a medical emergency. So they proceeded on, and the judge ruled in Beerman's favor, allowing Beerman to stay on the case.
So he heard the motion with you not there.
Correct.
All
While
right.
I was being ambulanced to the hospital.
All right. Now, in general, when the judge is addressing a Beerman lawyer, Matt Elster is one of the lawyers, but I don't think he's the only one. But how does he treat their lawyers?
Oh my, very respectful. He gives them time to get out their sentence. He
Mhm.
allows them to present falsified documents over and over. And this has been ongoing since Beerman took the case.
Now, what about when he's speaking to you? How does he treat you?
Very hostile, just rudely interrupts.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, very hostile, very nasty.
Okay. And you mentioned the falsified documents. Well, what falsified documents has your ex, not even your ex-husband, your still husband, Dr. Madison Sample, what has he submitted to the court?
Oh, there's a long list. Let's start with the income. He
Mhm,
originally submitted falsified income information stating he made $12,000 a month. A
mhm,
30-year successful anesthesiologist
mhm,
making $12,000 a month is unheard of,
mhm,
and the judge did not question it.
mhm,
Beerman has gone on a record stating
mhm,
falsified, income for my spouse.
mhm,
They've also submitted falsified documents about medical insurance,
mhm,
claiming that I have medical insurance when I don't.
Mhm.
There's just a list of falsified documents that Beermann has
All
submitted.
right, so
Yeah,
have you confronted the judge about, let's talk about the more important one, the falsified income? Because your husband went from saying he made 12,000 to around 22,000. He really makes about a half a million, probably more a year. So
correct.
he is significantly reducing the amount of income that he actually makes. What has happened when you've presented that to the court?
Oh, well, the judge assigned a so-called financial expert to
Mhm,
tell him the truth. But it
mhm,
turns out this financial expert is actually a divorce attorney with
mhm.
no training in accounting.
Right. We'll get to that. But first, I want to read from this is the civil RICO lawsuit. So Beermann LLP has in recent years acquired a reputation as a truly unbeatable foe in the family law courts, owing its track record to manipulated results before judges it is upon information and belief, bribed in exchange for a never-ending flow of favorable rulings.
Mhm.
Now, in your case, how much in terms of money that you and Madison accumulate? How much do you estimate the two of you have accumulated?
Well, there's our digital currency where we had over 5 million.
Mhm,
That seems to have just, disappeared, is not appearing in any of the
mhm,
financial affidavits. And
mhm,
then there's business interests that we've invested in, that Madison's invested in. And
mhm,
again, these things are being hidden from the records.
mhm.
Um, yeah, and his income is a huge thing.
All
The
right, so you're talking about 10 million, maybe more. How much of that have you seen?
in our court transcripts or
No,
in
no,
our,
no. How much of that do you have access to?
oh, I don't have access to any of it. That's all been
Have
taken
you
away.
brought this up to the court?
Oh, of course, many times.
And what is Judge Orell's response?
That he hasn't seen proof of this evidence that we have financed.
What evidence have you presented it?
Bank statements showing deposits of well over 48,000 a month,
What
digital
about
currency.
what about that?
Yeah, I've shown him, list of digital currency and the statements that I have. That's just being ignored.
Okay, so does it feel like they're unbeatable, like the lawsuit says?
Oh, absolutely. If I've shown them if I've shown them bank records
Mhm,
showing, that Madison's taking out under 10,000 at a time per transaction
mhm,
and a list of our assets,
mhm.
and even the bank deposits, if, that's not believable enough for them, I don't know what is.
Okay, and so the next part is also related to something you've said, and then we'll talk about it a little more. The scope of the racketeering goes beyond mere bribing of the family law judges. Upon information and belief, Beermann LLP does not hesitate to barter its power to suggest and appoint legal functionaries like child coordinators, custody evaluators, etc., and padding legal fees all the while. And so you saw something like that happen and you described it a little bit. So essentially, you presented tons of evidence, and what Judge Orell said is this sounds he said, she said, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm going to get up a a part of the transcript, and so I want to read it. And so, Mr. Elster, so we're up for status this morning, Your Honor, pursuant to your January 25th order, which gave Ms. Sample another 7 days to retain counsel. We've also filed a petition of rule show cause, Your Honor, previously ordered Ms. Sample to cooperate in the execution of all documents necessary to list the marital residence for sale. And we'll talk about that in a minute. The listing agent sent both parties an agreement for DocuSign. My client signed it. Ms. Sample has not. I have a copy of it today ready for signature, and we'd ask that Ms. Sample be ordered to sign or else adjudicated in indirect civil contempt. And you responded, Judge Orell, you mentioned before that there was an attorney on record for me. There is, John Conniff, but he hasn't shown up on my behalf. So he's listed as my attorney of record here. He hasn't shown up, and I never received the 5,500. And hold on, it continues. et cetera, in order to be able to pay, are you reimbursed for those expenses? Most of the expenses, hotel expenses, so travel, gas, it goes on. And I think this is where he appoints the financial expert that you mentioned. Am I right?
Correct.
And he took it as a dispute, and he appoints a guy. And was this guy Andrew Corus, was he free?
No, I've received huge bills from Andrew Course.
Right, and you can presume that he sent the similar types of bills to Beermann. Am
Of
I
course.
correct?
Mhm.
Right. All right. And Judge Orell said Andrew Corus is a financial expert. Am I
Correct.
right?
That's what Judge Jarrell said.
All right. And is that Andrew Corus? Is that the same guy?
That is.
Right. So he is a divorce attorney. It says
Correct.
Andrew concentrates his family law practice in divorce, alimony, spousal support, child support, collaborative law, prenuptial agreements, litigation appeals, complex litigation, federal trial practice, state appeal practice, state trial practice, business law, and mediation. I don't know where he gets that he's a financial expert with that. He appears to be an attorney. Am I
Well,
right?
according to Andrew Course, in his report, he states on the first page that he is not a forensic accountant and he has no training in accounting.
All right, and the last question I have for you, you believe that you've accumulated approximately $10 million over the course of the marriage. Why would Judge Orell force you to sell the house if you have that much in assets?
So I know for sure we're well over 5 million. So it is between 5 and 10. I
Mhm.
don't know why Judge Arrell would order me to sell my home with the amount of assets we have and the amount of income that Madison is making right now. If he's making a minimum of 48,000 a month, and we
Mhm.
have well over 5 million in assets and business interests that I don't know, what those are.
So,
And no one's trying to find out what they are.
all right, so is Judge Orell forcing you to sell your house while you have millions in assets and while your ex-husband, not your current husband? The reason that I keep saying ex is the divorce has been ongoing. So I just
Yes.
always initially presume it's ex, but you
Right.
haven't technically, but is this one of the reasons why you believe he is being bribed? That he is forcing the
Absolutely.
sale of this home all while all of these assets are floating all around?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there are things that my spouse promised would happen and wouldn't happen. They've
Mhm.
come to be true.
What is your promise? What is your spouse promise? What it wouldn't happen?
That no judge will help me, no attorney would help me or make him do anything. And
Mhm.
if I didn't give in, that the judge would decide the rest. I have so many threats in writing from him. He sort of boasted about having connections. And
Mhm.
I've got plenty of things in writing to show him boasting about his connections.
Mhm.
I originally thought he's just talking, but
Mhm.
after seeing how the judge actually is giving, Beerman favoritism and making unfair rulings. Yeah, he actually was telling the truth.
And one last question, you are having trouble getting health insurance. And the reason all of this is happening is because you're supposed to, your ex-husband took off with all of the money. So you were left with
Everything.
nothing. And you built a home which in effect destroyed your career. So you had no income. So you are entirely reliant on what I believe is a very meager alimony payment that the judge has ordered. But you are in a recent motion argued that that Beermann has committed fraud upon the court with regard to the health insurance. So explain that.
Oh, absolutely. This has been ongoing for months where the attorney from Beerman would tell the judge that I had health insurance when I
Mhm.
didn't. And this attorney knows I don't have health insurance. So
Mhm.
since March, I've been without health insurance and medical treatment and using part of my maintenance to spend 1,000, 1,500 on doctor's bills and medication.
Mhm.
And then this attorney ultimately filed another motion recently to just disregard the original motion for me to have health insurance. And so
Mhm.
Judge Arrell have seen me begging for health insurance, explaining to him that I'm in excruciating pain and I need treatment. And he's disregarded it and ignored it for months. I don't have a car to even get around right now. How do we have millions in assets and I'm left without a car?
Right. And the last thing, the lawyer for Beermann often writes the orders for the judge. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. He writes them and he leaves out things that the judge asked for. For instance, the judge ordered my spouse to make sure my car was running. Well, this attorney did not write it in the order, so
Mhm.
therefore it's not been reinforced. So I don't have a car to even get to work. I'm rebuilding my business. They've left me penniless without a car. At one point, I was on
You got
welfare.
health insurance. Have
Yeah.
you brought that up to Judge Orell that when this guy writes his orders for him, they're not reflected of what Judge Orell orally asked the orders to be reflected as?
Many times, and Judge Arrell says it's he say, she say, he doesn't want to hear that, and yeah, he dismissed it.
Doesn't Judge Orell know what he said? It's not he said, she said. If he said one thing and the order says another thing, is that he said, she said?
Well, I show him the transcripts.
You show him the transcripts where Judge Orell says one thing and then the order says something else?
Correct, and Judge Arrell gets very angry when I show him the transcripts telling the truth.
Is
Yeah.
this another, is this more evidence you believe that Judge Orell is being bribed?
100%, 100%. There's always favoritism towards Matthew
Mhm.
Elster in the courtroom. And even if I have court transcripts to show the truth, Judge Arrell doesn't want to see it. And I'm retaliated against for bringing these things up.
How are you retaliated against?
Oh, they get very angry, very dismissive. There's threats of jail time for me. And
Mhm.
lately, Judge Arrell has been accusing me of like submitting falsified documents for the third time in court. I've
Mhm.
never submitted falsified documents, nor have I made false statements in the court.
Well, how did he react when he found out that Madison had significantly undervalued his income?
That's when he said we both submitted false documents. Instead
Well,
of dealing with Madison, he started threatening me, claiming that I've done that. So he's never
any,
dealt with Madison.
anything else you wanted to add about the relationship between Beerman and Judge Orell?
Just that, I just want justice and I won't get it with Judge Arrell and Beerman because of whatever price my spouse has paid for the outcome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. Uh, a great shame, Jackie. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.